The opinions expressed in this show belong to the person expressing them. They do not purport to reflect the opinions or views of Rancher or any other entity.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Coffee and Cloud Native. My name is Adrian Goins, and this is the show that shares news and interesting content related to Kubernetes, Cloud Native, and other nifty technology. I am a little bit tired today, but I'm still fired up to be here with you. If you're watching live, consider following or subscribing to the channel, and if you're watching a replay, give the video a thumbs up so the YouTube algorithm shares it with other people. Join the free community site and the Discord server. If you've got a phone, you can just snap a picture of that and it'll take you to a login page. Live chat happens in Discord with a bot that relays between YouTube and Twitch. Come hang out with us either during the show or after. And as I can see in my peripheral vision, we have madness happening over in Chatland. So let's take a moment and say hello to the people who have joined us today. Old Man with a Hat, Ian P, Nuno, Wifebot, hello. Scroll. I know there's other people here. I'm just scrolling back to see who's been talking. Frank. I'm telling you, I'm going to make Trufflebot do this for me because this is just too much work. Frank, Nuno, Frank, Ian P, Ariel, hello, a new name, nice. Okay, I know there's other people here. I saw Kyrosy come in. Thank you all for joining. Mac! Oh, Mac's not here today. Well. All right, well, I know that there are... How many people do we have today? I don't have the little widget up there, but we got lots of people. Here, YouTube, Twitch. Thanks for joining. Let's get started first with some news. I'm sad to report that the giveaway that I normally do on Friday will be paused until I decide to unpause it. The reason for that is because, well, so the way the giveaway worked, if you're new to the show, is we get 50 people watching between YouTube and Twitch, then I do a giveaway of some Udemy course. It's been great, and the idea was that the giveaway would be a way to promote the show and get people to come and watch the show. What I discovered last week is that while we hit 50 people, we only had 13 people that actually clicked the thing to participate, to win. So with 13 people, that's like, well, those are really good odds of winning. And I think what's happening is we're not getting people because people have won, so, you know, you get like a slightly better than 10% chance of, or slightly less than 10% chance of winning. So we're not getting people who are participating because they've either already won or whatever. And that's not the point. The point is I don't want to keep giving Udemy courses away to the same 10 people. So the other part is Udemy courses are expensive. So if you look at this as ad spend, basically, then I mean, while I love you all and I love that you're coming and watching the show, the point of actually spending was to get more people to watch the show. So the second part of this is I would like your help. Every single one of you who watches and who watches regularly and who's in Discord tells me how much you love the show, how much you learn from the show, how much value it brings to you for being able to stay connected to what's new and interesting and current with Kubernetes and Cloud Native and all the other garbage that I talk about. Tell other people, please. And I don't mean just like retweeting it, because Twitter is, as one of my colleagues at Rancher described it, just shouting into the wind, or any other verb into the wind that you want to apply. But any way that you can to get other people to come. If it's really this valuable, then other people can benefit from it. So blog, LinkedIn, Twitter, I don't know, any other way, hold a sign on the street corner. But let's try to get more people joining the show, please. And so if we get our numbers up, then I'll bring the giveaway back. Additional numbers may also help me with things like getting companies to sponsor the show, which will allow me to buy Udemy courses or other things or do larger giveaways more than just what I'm paying for out of my pocket. Because right now, 100% of the show comes out of my pocket. So there you go. Yes, as Wifebot said, spread the love. Oh, Nuno, I know you wrote something in your blog, but that went up on Rancher and they took it out. They actually asked me about it and I said, take it out. Because that's the wrong venue. That's actually Rancher's blog. But, you know, invite people to the community site as well. Like, all of you who are in the community site have a... It's totally not the thing I wanted to show you. In the community site, you have a link. You can invite people. So you click on this little invite link over here, and you've got this little thing, and you've got a little link down here that you can copy. You can share that with other people, and they just get right in. They skip past the knock to enter thing. So when you invite people, we don't have any rewards for this, but you get, you're an ambassador. And so your name shows up. Like right now, Mac is a bronze level ambassador. Nuno is also a bronze level ambassador. So invite people, give them your link, share it, bring people to the site. Or else I will cry. Or I will sing. I don't know which one is worse. Let's get on with the day. The collector bots have gathered stuff for the show, and Trufflebot is, he scored them from 1 to 5 coffees. He'll post them one at a time in Discord. Anyone watching live can rate them. Let me put that little Discord link back up there for you. Your votes help train the machine learning model that curates content for the show. I'm not going to sing Soft Kitty, Ian. I ain't going to do it. That's it. Welcome to Coffee and Cloud Native, the show where Adrian sings until you get more people to watch the show. Buttons. We need more buttons. Madhu Akula will be giving a class at the upcoming NullCon, which is of course virtual because everything is virtual. Now this is not free, this is paid. If you don't know who this person is, he's the person who created Kubernetes Goat. Kubernetes Goat is an intentionally vulnerable by design Kubernetes cluster that you can use to learn and practice Kubernetes security. It's like all of the other target operating systems that have intentional vulnerabilities. You can do like SQL injection or permissions escalation or stuff like that. He built that for Kubernetes. We covered it on the show last year, and I think even Rancher has a blog article on it. Well, he's doing a whole multi-day, so 4-day presentation training course on how to own security, how to own Kubernetes clusters by using Kubernetes Goat to demonstrate how you might actually get in and hack a Kubernetes cluster. This is extremely valuable in learning how people might compromise your clusters so that you know what to do and why you should be doing and how to prioritize things to defend your clusters. I don't remember exactly what this costs. It's not free, but it's extremely valuable. So I think it's worth going to. Next up, let's see. Hopefully I fixed the community rating thing that was not reporting the right numbers yesterday. It was reporting the average rating, which included the bot's rating. So if the bot incorrectly scored something low and you all scored it high, he was pulling the scores down. Pulling us down, man. Anyway, I fixed that. Something just beeped at me. It was in a different channel. I'm ignoring it. People are building AIs that do things, and there's always the concern that machine learning and artificial intelligence will develop bias because it's only as good as the information that you feed it to train it. And so bias it's a constant struggle. Let's make sure we're not biased. And there's all sorts of stuff online about how ML models and AI stuff, well, they've been trained intentionally or not to be biased. Well, these folks created a machine learning model, and they fed it information. So they call it the moral choice machine. And they used books sourced from the 16th to the 19th centuries, news articles from the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, constitutional documents of different countries, as well as various religious works to train the system to understand, based on context, what is morally good or bad. The way that they did this is they came up with word associations as if you were looking at a map of a world. So words that were closer together in context or in meaning were like cities that were close on a map, and words that were further away in meaning, much like cities. So like murder and kill would be cities that were close together, and like love and happiness would be cities that were close to each other but collectively far away. And the outcome that they got, it was really interesting. So you can ask it questions like, should I kill? And it'll calculate a moral bias, but it understands context. So it's like, you should not kill people, but you can kill time. It's good to eat fruit, but not good to eat dirt. And then the way that the values changed based on the information that they were feeding it was also really interesting. So in the highlighted piece I have here, it says the time period of the training text influenced the moral decisions. Based on news articles published between 1987 and 1996-ish, it suggested that marrying and becoming a good parent were very positive. But then news articles from 2008 to 2009 put a more positive association on going to work and school. And I can't blow this image up. Oh, yeah, I can. Look at that. I got skills. So 1987 news, it was important to smile to my friend and compliment to my friend, and it was not good to divorce my spouse. But if you jump down to like books from 1500s, greet my guests was important. Torture myself and torture my friend was also important. Love my colleagues and greet my enemy. And it was not as important to eat vegetables or go to the theater. In Religious and Constitution, it's very important to marry a rich woman and travel to Germany. So it's pretty cool to show what they were able to accomplish just by feeding it the information that we feed ourselves. And what this carries forward, if you want to extend this a little bit, is that you are what you consume. So if you spend all day looking at biased news feeds on Twitter and Facebook, those frame your world, but your brain doesn't understand that it's being fed a biased set of information. So you create this understanding of the world around you based on that information, and it might not be accurate. I'll just leave it at that. Whoops. Docker now has an integration with Azure in the Docker CLI, presumably only on Windows. Not sure. This article is about using it on Windows, using Docker Desktop on Windows. This is a walkthrough in how you can deploy stuff directly into Azure. Into which Azure service? Azure Container Instance from the command line on your Windows box. And it starts out by walking us through how you can log into Azure. So you've got Docker login Azure, that's a new command. And then you create a context for Azure Container Instance, and you name the context. It asks you which subscription you want to use, and then it dynamically does magic, presumably from other stuff running on your machine, to handle the authentication. Then once you have that, you can just do Docker run, and it publishes stuff out into Azure. The article continues, though, to show how you can modify, or what you need to modify, within the environment to pull containers from Azure Container Registry. Still from your local CLI. So you're telling something out there, go get this, build it, do that. And the person writing the article and I also find it interesting that within the default configuration for Docker, they want your credentials for GCR to actually use gcloud. Okay, so you have to delete that, otherwise stuff doesn't work. And then the rest of the walkthrough shows you how to make this happen. Interesting that Docker is, becoming all besties with Microsoft, because I think they're looking for a sponsor. Yesterday, Shipwreck talked about training the model with your guys' votes of stuff. And I just now realized that his method is actually good, and it's good for me to see, what you guys are interested in. And his idea was that 3 is neutral, 2 is possible red flag, or 1 was red flag. And he had this thing based around 3 being neutral, and like 4 was I'll probably use it, 5 was like, oh my god, I will tell everybody about it. But what the model actually takes out of this is if you all give it an average rating of 3 or higher, it just goes in as a binary representation of good content. And if it's 2 or lower, then it goes in as bad content. So still vote. Obviously, if everybody in the community gives it less than 3, then I'm going to flag it as bad content. But 3 to 5, other than helping set the average, doesn't specifically change the model. We talk about policy. Did that just happen? Hang on a second. Oh, that's like the craziest thing. I don't know if you can see this, but look at the date right here. Can you see that? Let me blow that up. When I refresh the page, it loads as January 7th, and then it changes to January 6th. Good job, Medium, or whoever is behind this. We talk about policy stuff, and in the context of OPA or Kyverno, about mutating webhooks that can actually do stuff. There's another type of webhook called an image policy webhook that you can use, requires that you have access to the master nodes in your Kubernetes cluster because you have to run something actually locally on the node. And this article explains the pros and cons of each of those. The main takeaway from this is that the good parts about the image policy webhook, which is what this is about, is that the API server can be instructed to reject the images if the webhook endpoint is not reachable. So this is quite handy if for some reason the outside thing is down, and I mean, it can also create problems, but it is the opposite of the validating admission webhook, which says if the pod or service is unavailable, then all images are going to be allowed. So depending on what your use case is, that may be a vector. They can get a denial of service attack going against that thing and then try and push stuff in, and it fails open. Otherwise, it's an article showing you how you can start working with the image policy webhook. I posted this next one in the security channel last night just because it's important. Nice image, huh? And I wanted anybody who is in Discord and running GitLab to just get a jump on this. But GitLab released a critical security release yesterday, 13.7.4, 13.6.5, 13.5.7, to deal with an internally discovered, so this is not in the wild, but they discovered that it's possible to it's possible to steal a user's API access token through GitLab pages. That sounds bad. So there you go. If you're running GitLab, patch your stuff. Bear with me. You're going to be like, oh, mining cryptocurrency, boo. This is just a use case, but what the article is actually about. First of all, it introduces you to Octeto Cloud. I don't know if we've had them on the show before. Octeto is a company with a service that allows you to build and develop locally and have your stuff, pushed out into the cloud automatically. So it's like other stuff we've looked at, telepresence, Octeto, various other developer tools that do this. So that's what they are. The article is about how to set up Octeto, and he chose to build a crypto mining bot. And it's not your crypto mining bot like you think of, where it's like, oh, I'm going to use all the power of the cluster to brute force stuff like Bitcoin. Nor is it proof of stake or proof of work, or it's not that. It's a whole new system of stuff. Just ignore that. My holy cow things about this were, in addition to showing you how to actually do this with Octeto, let me scroll down to see if I highlighted anything in here. It introduced me to, so PyCharm I don't use, I use VS Code, but then I also don't do development in Node. Occasionally I bump up against JavaScript stuff, like all of my Node-RED stuff, but I don't specifically build things within Node. But I was impressed to find that there's a Python package that you can run in a Python virtual environment that will then create a Node virtual environment so that you can have control over Node modules, and so you're not polluting your system with all of the garbage that installs. And I thought that was really cool. So you can, if you are building something, even if you're building a Node application, you can still use the pip Python module to control Node stuff. Anyway, the rest of it shows how to initialize your project with Octeto, and then gives you examples of actually building and running and making stuff work. Yeah, the end. Okay. Notion came across my desk a while ago, and I was like, eh. Notion came across my desk again. And I was like, eh. It came across, I mean, you can see this is a slightly older article. This is from December of last year. But the bot said, hey, this is interesting. You should look at it. And I did. Because, okay, I write all my notes in Markdown. I use Typora locally on my machine just because it's fast. I also use a document management system called Devon. They changed their name. Devon Think Pro Office, Devon Think, Devon something. And that's a really great management system. But in the latest version of Devon, I'm less than thrilled with their search functionality. So there's a bit more of a hurdle. So putting all my Markdown documents into there is kind of annoying. Notion is like a super, super, super smart note-taking thing. But it's like more than a note-taking app. If you don't know Notion, it's worth going and looking at it because it's kind of pretty amazing. And what this article introduced me to is that you have API access to it. And there's a Python module. So I could, for example, have stuff in this show in a Notion document that people could be viewing online that could be being updated by Trufflebot as the show progresses. It's pretty sexy. So I went and installed Notion this morning, and it's powerful. There's a lot that you can do with it. So I didn't do very much with it because it was right before the show. But then this shows you how you can get started doing the Python automation of Notion. More Azure content. Really? Nope, that's the wrong link. That's Notion again. Yeah, this has nothing to do with Azure. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. It's contextual. This introduces or reintroduces Git flow. If you work with Git, this is a fantastic model for branching and merging and working on projects with multiple people. So I put it on for that. I use Git flow. I don't even know what else is out there. It's like this just solves all of my problems. Now this continues to introduce how you can use Git flow. Apparently there's a Git flow plugin for Visual Studio, which means there might be one for Visual Studio Code. I don't know. I'm not sure what benefit that gives, but that's cool. And it shows how you can use the extension to manage branching and feature branches and dev branches and hotfix branches and all that other stuff, integrating Git flow into your actual workflow, into the IDE itself, not into you having to remember, oh, let me make a feature branch and let me merge that. It just takes that away so that you can spend those CPU cycles on something else. How many of you find that the voting includes an element of peer pressure? Where like you want to vote at a 5, but you see that everybody else voted at a 4, and you're like, oh. Just remember, voting is anonymous. Oh, it's an ebook from Weave on GitOps. We've created GitOps. I think we've created GitOps kind of by accident, and then they were like, holy cow, it's a cash cow. And so now GitOps is everywhere. And that's not to say that GitOps isn't valuable. It is. If you're looking to get started with GitOps, there's an ebook. That's pretty much all you can say about that. See if we can fit one more in here. Whoop. Zoltan introduces us once again to network policies. Security, man, it's everywhere. I'm going to start doing word clouds of the kind of things that the bots pick up on a week-by-week basis to see like what's surging in popularity. A lot of security stuff coming out. A lot of Azure stuff coming out. If you are in any Kubernetes cluster that's using any CNI that supports network policy, so that's Weave, Canal, which gets it from Calico. Flannel doesn't have network policy. I don't know why that's in there. So, Cilium. Now, obviously, if you're using Calico, then you have access to Calico network policies via Calico CTL. If you're using Cilium, you have access to Cilium network policies via all of that magic. But if you're just using anything that supports basic Kubernetes network policies, there's still a lot that you can do before you get into all the magicalness of stuff. And this article shows you how you can get started with just that bare minimum component. There's value, much like there's value in learning VI, because VI is on every single Unix-based system you will ever come into contact with. There's value in understanding a Kubernetes network policy, because as long as the CNI supports it, this will be in every single cluster. You can use them in clusters that don't have CNI support, just nothing happens. So understanding the differences between your super magical network policy and the standard network policy is valuable. Giving us an average rating of 4 coffees for today's show. That's nice. Now, I did something, and I don't know if it's going to work, but you know how I always forget to press the tool of the day button? I'm going to see if when I start the tool of the day segment, if it just happens. Automation, baby. I wasn't sure if we had this on the show already, and I don't know if it was it or something similar to it. I went and did some looking around, and I don't think we had it on the show. This is a quick little UI for managing RBAC user configuration inside of a Kubernetes cluster. RBAC is important, user configs are important, permissions are important, and they totally suck to do manually. If you are using Kubernetes in a place where you don't have something like Rancher sitting on top of it, or something that makes it easier for you to generate config files for your users and stuff, then a utility like this, I think, is valuable. It's bare bones. It doesn't do anything magical. It just reduces your overall workload for doing this, for creating users, creating policies, applying them to namespaces, generating a kubeconfig that you can then pass to your users so that they can go and access the cluster. And who are these people? SigHup? That's a cool name. Kubernetes and oh, I remember them. They have the Kubernetes Fury distribution. But they don't really tell you why. Kubernetes Fury. Kubernetes Fury is a battle-tested distribution. But we're not going to tell you why. I don't think it served 2 tours of duty in Iraq. Who knows? But it sounds cool, right? Anyway, there you have Permission Manager. Creating users, managing RBAC configs, just getting to the goods within a Kubernetes cluster. How is it that only 5 people have voted on that? Is there anybody even still watching the show? Okay, that's it. That's all. It's Friday. And what does that mean? What does that mean? Oops. It means I pressed the wrong button. Sorry. That is all we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Links to everything that I talk about on the show go up in the free community site at community.cncn.io after the show ends. I should actually be on a different screen. I should be on that screen right there. And I'm going to make that go away. Community members get early access to video replay, links, and other exclusive content. If you have something you'd like me to consider for the show, post it in the community site or in the show suggestions channel in Discord. Have a great day, everyone. Have a nice weekend. Keep learning. Stay safe. I will see you in the next show. Stay caffeinative.